For the next record.
Say what? Oh no, he said. Where's the money, man? Where's my money?
It's time to man up, America.
Let's do this.
All right. We're live here in WTNB Studios, right here in Cleveland, Tennessee. That's Charter Channel 5, Comcast 210, digital TV station 27.1. Maybe you're listening, Talk 101.3 The Buzz on your radio dial. That's 101.3 The Buzz, right here in Cleve, Vegas. We've got a special crew in the studio today. Mitch is with us. We're always glad to have Mitch in the house, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Mitch is back. The shrink Rob Alderman is not here today, still sleeping off the hangover from New Year's. But, you know, I said to myself, Mitch, I said, self, we need to get an Alabama fan in the studio.
Yes.
Because here in Orange Country, some people roll Tide.
I feel like there's a lot of people that roll Tide here, though.
There are a lot of people that roll Tide. Let me cut your mic on. How about that?
That would be
There are a
fun.
lot of people who roll
There
Tide
are.
here, right, Mitch? So I said, who do I know that is a classy Alabama fan that can come into the studio who can adequately represent an objective playoff picture? Now, as you know, these don't exist on Ohio State's side.
Right.
So I thought, who could I bring in that's a classy Alabama fan? There was no one. I drew a name out of the hat, and Mylan Blake is here.
There you go.
County
Welcome.
Commissioner Mylan Blake. County Commissioner Mylan Blake, welcome to Man Up America. This is your first hoorah on the show. isn't
I
it?
know. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Now, we've been friends a long time.
Yeah.
I've been at this 3 months, and County Commissioner Mylan Blake is just now coming on the program. This just shows you how much trepidation he had
Well,
when we started the show
No,
about
no,
whether or not to
just
be in.
takes some Alabama football to get him.
There you go.
To want to be a part of it.
Congratulations on your show, though. I remember when you first thought about this, and it looks like you've done well.
I know. It was like, I called Mylan. I said, listen, I'm thinking about doing this radio show. What do you think? And he said, if I would stick to things you're good at. That's what Mylan told me.
Well,
And so I ignored him in sheer rebellion. We're here. And for all 12 of you who listen to this show, we appreciate you.
No, you do better. than that.
No, we had a
14.
great 3 months. We've got some great feedback. It looks like the show's doing really well. We got a lot of folks listening. And special thank you to our sponsors, especially Bliss Day Spa, who we push a lot of here. Home Mortgage Solutions, Daryl Whitaker over there. The Venue Creekside, Woodman Life, Nissan of Cleveland, and Linex. We've got some more, Rocky Top Survival Supply, a few others, but those folks helped us get this show off the ground, and we are going to take some more sponsors going into the new year. So send us, if you're interested, send us your information, comments, manuptalk@gmail.com, or hit us on Facebook, facebook.com/manuptalk. Mylan Blake, Mitch, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2017 is here. And you know what that means, don't you?
Resolutions.
Resolutions. Right now, okay, I'm going to just go ahead and openly dog the socials again. You know, I've been relentless on what people do on social media. Nothing is sacred on social media. Have y'all noticed this? Nothing
why
is.
it's social.
I'm waiting on someone to go, I'm just so glad I woke up breathing this morning, and for someone to rebut and say, you shouldn't breathe, oxygen is bad, follow this article and read about how you should stop inhaling.
Stop breathing.
I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for someone to say, gravity's a foe, kind of right up. It's just ridiculous how everything's got to be a debate on Facebook. So I've noticed a special few of you out there on the socials, and you know who you are, and you'll comment on our page, facebook.com/manuptalk, about how I'm a prick and that you've and how I've called you out. But I am going to call you out for being stupid, and this is how you are being stupid on the socials right now. Stop it with the whole parsing of words. Someone says on Facebook, I've seen 2 or 3 people say this, don't set resolutions, set goals. I got news for you. Resolutions are goals
Yeah.
with a little bit of emotional fervor.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, Mylan, you're on the county commission. I was on the county commission.
Yeah.
Anytime we did business, anytime we made a decision, what is the first line on the piece of paper when we made a decision? Therefore, now
yeah.
be it what?
Resolved.
Now be it resolved.
Yeah.
Therefore, now be it resolved. I'm going to say to all you parsing words about don't make resolutions and the whole, is it too taboo or is there stigma behind doing? Listen, whatever motivates you in the new year
Right.
to do something
Absolutely.
better for yourself, I'm with you. Call it a goal, call it a resolution. I love the idea of breakpoints. I think it makes sense after the rest of the holidays for people to reevaluate what does the next year look like. I think it's a natural time where people look and say, okay, we just spent a lot of money.
What's important?
Maybe I
to
need
us
to look
now?
at my money in the coming month. We just spent a lot of time with family. Do I want to spend more time with family?
Or less.
Yeah, or less, right.
I don't know.
Or less.
Depends on how your holiday was.
But what's up with all the resolution haters?
Well, I'm still trying to figure out what the difference between a resolution and a goal is.
Once again,
why
it's
would
just-
you feel that those people are in the same boat as the grammar Nazis?
Well, they just got to pick everything apart.
Right.
Stop picking it apart. Support somebody.
I mean,
if
set
your
a goal if
resolution
you
is to
want
lose
to.
weight,
Do it.
now therefore be it resolved.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Now therefore be it. If your resolution is to spend more time with family or less, now therefore be it resolved.
Resolve.
Okay? Call it a goal.
Personally,
Call it whatever.
I'm not I don't love New Year's resolutions. Last year, I set a really good one, which
Okay.
was to say no.
To everything.
Right. I mean,
When
I
you've done well on this
I
show.
was drastically over involved in a bunch of things that just weren't for me, and I couldn't say no to anything. So I said
So you're
no.
still on the wagon in 2017 after
Well, I'm
2016.
here.
You're here, but yeah, you
for the
did- you said
most
you-
part, yeah.
You said
yeah.
yes to the dress.
So this year, I'm not making a New Year's resolution.
You're not?
No.
Okay, I've got goals, and I reevaluate them every year because that is the tax cycle.
Oh,
Right? So every year, the budget wraps up. We know how much money we made last year, how much money we gave to charity, how much money we spent on A, B, C, and D. And so it's natural for us in January to look and say, okay, what's this year going to look like? I also work in a line of work where my income is relatively fluid. So we set the norms of, okay, what do I need to see in minimum production out of my business interests and
Right.
things like that. So listen, it's natural for me. All of you on the socials that are just Debbie Downers, the trolls out there, you know who you are, the trolls. You're on everybody's trolling on everybody's page. They go, my New Year's resolution this year is to spend more time with family. And your immediate comment is, stop making New Year's resolutions and set permanent goals for yourself. Listen, you're
that
parsing
would-
words. Quit tearing somebody down. Ask, how can I help?
exactly.
How about
Yeah.
that? How can I help? Mylan, now therefore be it resolved for you. What is your New Year's resolution?
I think mine is very specific. I guess I've signed up to run a half marathon, and I've started that already. So I'm looking forward to that.
And when
So
is
it's
the
like a
half?
bucket list thing, right?
Yeah, I call it
Okay,
a bucket list.
working
There
on
you
the
go.
bucket list.
Bucket list,
Okay.
resolution.
1 year at a
goal,
time.
Task,
Right.
milestone, whatever you call it. I don't care. But May 13th.
Okay.
Right here at Lee
Very
and
cool.
Akoi and back around. I think it's
So you're not traveling to Boston
no.
to run the half.
I'm
So you and
right
Matt
here.
Ryerson and Corey Dival and
Corey,
and Cameron
Kyle Page,
Fisher aren't going to get in a
Graham.
car and drive to Denver to run the Mile High Marathon. Okay.
No.
But this is one of those resolutions that is a good example of how it can be, life changing. It can change what you do. You could become a avid runner and enjoy it. And
You could
do-
be the next Johnny Marathon.
You could.
I'll be happy.
We'll call
with-
you
I'll be
Mile and
happy-
Mile.
Can we get updates? On the mile and mile.
Mile and
every-
Mile.
Yeah.
We are going to follow you.
I'm looking forward to
through your New Year's
I'm looking
resolution.
forward to getting ready for it, and then that day and all that stuff.
So are you following a system then? Have
I
you-
am.
Okay.
I am. Just to keep accountability, I
Right.
guess, because like you guys, very busy with 15 and 12-year-old county commission.
Son's
work, all
a
the stuff.
baseball player. And
Yeah, so in order just to stay. Yeah, today I gotta get this done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I told all the socials trolls to ask how they could help. So here's how Man Up America is going to help you, Mylan.
All right.
We're going to follow your progress towards this goal
Hashtag
on this
Mile
show.
and Miles.
Mile and Mile.
There you go. Thank
The Mile and Mile. Hashtag the Mile and Mile on Man Up America. We're going to follow Mile. Now, when is this marathon?
May 13th.
Half marathon.
Yeah, I'm only half crazy.
Only half marathon. Okay.
Yeah.
When is it?
May 13th.
May 13th. So we've got a good 4 months.
4 months, yeah.
4 months for Mylan to get himself for the 13.1 miles he's going to have to run here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
That's right.
Which should take you all over Cleveland.
The whole town.
know.
It's going to take you all over Cleveland.
Some places twice.
Yeah.
The 13th, May 13th. I don't know of anything I have on that day,
Well,
but
come join us.
what I'm thinking is
You
I'll
wanna
be out
start
in my
training
Man Up.
also?
No, I'm gonna have my Man Up America shirt, and I commit myself to be Mylan's water boy.
That's
I
incredible.
will make sure you stay hydrated,
You may
Mylan
have to
Blake.
get in line. Chief Brian Smith's already committed to doing that, I think.
I will gladly stand
Boy?
beside. I will fan you, words of encouragement. I'll change out your headband. I'll
Are
let-
you a playlist type of guy? Like, do you,
You can
run
listen
with
to
your
music?
Oh,
band?
well, I got the other day I was starting to run, and I'm on the I can't remember the name of it. Not iTunes, but
Pandora or
something
Spotify.
like Spotify, yeah. And the same song played over and over, and here I am running. I couldn't change it because I was running and everything, so I had to listen to that side by side song. About
Ariana
50 times.
Grande.
50 times.
You were rocking the
About
Ariana Grande.
15, 20 times. I was like,
So
I'm
you're
real
a
faster
female,
to get home so I can stop having to listen to that thing.
So you're a female pop singer playlist kind of guy.
It was on the
Taylor
top.
Swift,
It was on the top 20
Not
or whatever.
Miley
intentionally.
Cyrus.
But it was in a loop, and here I am trying to jog or whatever. It's like 5 in the morning or something, and I'm sitting there trying to get another song, Ozzy Osbourne or something else.
Anything other
And
than Nicki Minaj.
It kept going over. And I was like,
Gaga just wasn't getting
I
it
just
done,
needed
was
to
she?
get home and shut that off. That was the motivation
You
there.
know,
enough.
you
So I may
could-
just listen to one song the whole
You could
time.
have turned on Mariah's performance because Adam's a huge Mariah lover.
Oh,
I missed
Rocks
that.
and Mariah
I
Carey.
totally missed all
It
that.
was silent,
I was
so
in
don't worry, you
Atlanta at
didn't miss
the
much.
game, and I didn't get back in time to see all that. But I've
Yeah.
seen a few other things about that.
There was a trifecta of disasters leading into New Year's Day, and we saw a lot of egos get shattered. The first was Ronda Rousey
Oh, that was
getting
incredible.
beat in 48 seconds in her return bout. I'm sure that probably is going to send her back into a fit of depression that she suffered from
Well, that's
after
what
her first loss.
happens.
But she was absolutely obliterated. Next obliteration of ego was Ohio State, which absolutely got spanked by Clemson. In fact, Ohio State, interesting fact, as entitled as all the Ohio State Buckeye people were, they're the only team to make a bowl game that has not scored.
Yeah.
They're the only team to make a bowl game that has not scored. That's pretty bad. Pretty bad. So that ego got trashed. And then Mariah Carey on New Year's
I
Eve.
immediately thought of
What a
you.
disaster. No, well, you thought, now this is why. You're not the only person that thought of me. And this is why people thought of me during that. And I got a lot of phone calls. It's because of my affiliation and ownership of an audiovisual company.
Yes.
And Mariah very quickly sold out sound and technical issues. And this is what I'll say, and I think I actually said this on the socials. If there's one thing to know as an artist, it is how important your tech crew really is. Now, whether or not the tech crew made some omissions, there was some problems or whatnot, what I'll say is you better hope you have very attentive and good tech people working for you, and they better like you at the end of the day.
Yeah. Which a lot of people do not like Mariah Carey.
Yeah, I've got an old Far Side comic that's a picture of a sound guy with a soundboard, and there's a button on the soundboard that says suck.
Oh, wow.
And at the very bottom it says, after the band ticked off the sound engineer, he started to crank it up, and he's turning that knob up for the band.
Yeah.
So don't make your sound guys angry. That's what I'll say about that.
I don't think they did it on purpose. That's what she said, right?
Who
I mean,
knows
why
what
in the world
happened?
would
There's
you
going to be
do
a lot
that?
of explaining. This is
Have
what
you
seemed to
seen
be her
the
in-ear.
meme, the meme about Russia hacking it? It's a funny meme.
Well, yeah, that is a
Yeah,
fun meme,
you
and this
know.
is where we turned her monitors off.
Oh.
But what I'll say is, there are people, and I think Mariah Carey's probably a phenomenal artist. Her voice probably isn't what it used to be. We heard the backtrack of her whistle notes while she stood there and did nothing. She's obviously not singing those anymore. But for anybody who's a vocalist, you sing those in your 20s. Mm-hmm. You can't hit those notes. Tune into any legendary singer.
How old
Barbra
is Mariah
Streisand
Carey
now
now?
doesn't sound like she did 30 years ago. Your vocal cords wear down, especially if you're using them that much. So she's not hitting those notes anymore. We know that, but she was a phenomenal artist in her time. Still gets credit for that. But her in-ears obviously weren't working. But for every situation like that where the sound goes south and somebody like Mariah collapses on stage and cannot function, there are the Freddie Mercurys of the world
Yes.
that a show's delayed, and everybody remembers this from, I can't remember the year, but the story goes Queen was waiting, there were a bunch of sound issues, the crowd was getting restless. As soon as the house speakers came up with no monitors, no nothing, Queen hits the stage and puts on a performance of a lifetime. And I've met those people over the years. There are those people with a guitar, a microphone, and them can entertain a crowd of thousands. I saw it recently in Nashville when Garth Brooks did a special concert in Nashville. Did not have a full band. It was him, a few guest artists, 2 microphones, and him playing the guitar. And it was a phenomenal show. And there's just a difference between people who are natural performers like that than people who get consumed in the theatrics and the backtracks
Right.
like Mariah has.
Right?
That's my 2 cents.
No.
And unfortunately, fewer of our modern artists are capable.
Sure.
They're so dependent on the tech. For those of you who love the band Fun, everybody sings their songs a lot tonight, things like that. They're so digitized in their sound. If you ever heard them raw in a coffee shop with a few instruments, it'd be horrible. There's so many bands that meet that. Coldplay, huge performance, although I think Chris Martin and a piano would still probably be a good – I probably would like that better than Coldplay.
Yeah.
There are just very few artists, and this is why I was hoping the Shrink would be on here. I'm sure he could give you 2 cents on that. There are very few artists who are capable of doing what Freddie Mercury and Queen did at that time, and Mariah obviously couldn't pull it off on New Year's.
My number one example of what you just described is the Cars. I love their albums and their, all their stuff. I went to see them in Gainesville, Florida. Horrible. I mean, they could not make that sound. I mean, obviously the studio, you can do a lot of things and stuff like that. When you get on the stage, you would want some of it. Horrible.
I heard
Rick Ocasek and Benjamin Orr. Horrible.
You know who's amazing? Aaron Lewis from Stained. His acoustic show is
It's great.
incredible.
Arguably, if anybody's ever seen Disturbed, which is a heavy metal band, and when you think heavy metal, you think loud, proud sound.
And angry.
And angry, but they do this acoustic thing, and they started, one of their videos got very popular from, they redid The Sound of Silence by Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, wow.
And it's just amazing how talented they are. But I've been to shows where it's collapsed. I've been to shows where it's been amazing. Chris Young is one of those to where it could, him and a guitar, I could listen to him all day. Sam Hunt, those kind of people. Jason Aldean is horrible live, in my opinion. He's flat all the time. Jason on Countryside. So it happens. That happened to Mariah, but that was the trifecta of disaster. It was Ronda Rousey, Ohio State, and Mariah Carey. And so they all died a sudden death leading into New Year's, the last casualties of 2016. And we'll give a quick shout out. Obviously, the loss of Carrie Fisher and her mother within 48 hours of each other is pretty sad. But 2017 is a new year. There seemed to be an extraordinarily high number of celebrity losses in 2016. I think we all probably mourn the losses closer to us more than anything. And with that being said, condolences to the family of Bill Creech and his passing on New Year's Day. Bill Creech was former county commissioner, involved member of this community, all around wonderful, wonderful man. And will be missed in this town. And for those of you who are interested, Companion Funeral Home is handling those arrangements. You can go to their website and find out information on the visitation that's going to take place and the funeral, I believe, Thursday, the 5th. So, Mylan, you're in the studio for one reason mostly, and that's to talk about the team of red that didn't get skunked prior to New Year's is the Crimson Red, the Crimson Tide, Alabama, 24-7 over Washington. I don't think there was ever any doubt that it was going to. I was more surprised Alabama didn't score more.
I guess I was too, yeah. I mean, there were a lot of frustrated Alabama fans. I went to the game, and you don't see us have delay of game penalties that much. I mean, we had, I think, 3. I know we had 2. I'm thinking of the third one. And just the run attack, other than Bo Scarborough, just wasn't like it used to be. So Washington was ready for that. But, I mean, considering we scored 56 points against Ohio State and, you know, what we did to Tennessee and a couple other schools, 24 seems kind of low.
Yeah,
underwhelmed.
I just thought that
And one of them was a
matchup.
defensive score.
I thought that matchup heavily favored Alabama. Like I didn't see any place on the field that Alabama didn't win the matchup. You know, when you're looking at a football game, and for those of you who aren't football fans, just wait, we'll get to politics in a minute. When you're looking at a football game and you think about the tactical matchup, how does the O-line match up against the defensive line, vice versa? How does the rush attack, how does the quarterback's mobility match up against a rush attack? How do the receivers match up on the corners? You think about that. I thought Alabama won every one of those matchups. Most of the folks on the sports talking heads agreed too. So I thought it would be, I actually thought it would be a Clemson Ohio State scenario where I expected Alabama.
Shutout.
Now, well, I think a shutout. Yeah, I mean, I think 7 points is almost a shutout.
Well, they
But-
got that on the first drive, and they were hitting the flanks pretty good, and
adjusted.
We had to adjust real quick, and you can see the defensive coordinator move up a little bit, move the secondary up, and take care of that. So they had 4 plays kind of in the bag right from the very beginning, and they got it. It was a great pass that he got that touchdown on, but that was it. They weren't going to do that to us anymore.
So what about the next matchup? It's a rematch from last year. I think personally, I think Clemson looks better this year than going into the game last year.
Well, they're definitely motivated. I think they got, I guess, a chip. They
Like
from what
I think a national title game to them last year was so new. It's been a long time since they'd been there,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think it was such a jarring kind of thing because they were kind of a late in the season interest. They were just now getting used to the press coverage, to the demands, to the questions, to the cameras. I think they've had that all season long now.
So this year it's real and plausible.
And
for
But they've been
them.
they're
up and
veterans of the game. They've been up and down, so goes the QB at Clemson, so goes the game,
Yeah.
but so goes Scarborough in a lot of ways. I'm not going to
we
say
got-
that. Alabama adjusts
we got
beyond
3
that. But
running
he's
backs.
a powerful guy.
But he really wasn't our main running back throughout the season.
I know, but he's so good.
Yeah,
He's so NFL quality.
yeah,
It's
he'll
not
be in
even
the
funny.
NFL, but so will Harris and so will Jacobs.
And I think he'll be a big NFL running back.
You never know. I thought the same thing of Trent Richardson, but he didn't do well. But Derrick Henry's up with the Tennessee now.
Never gamble on the white quarterback. Even the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks like Trent Dilfer get our footnotes in history, right? Nobody grows up to be Joe Flacco.
Yeah, but you got Big Ben. who-
Right?
Big Ben is not a mediocre quarterback.
no, he's fantastic.
He's an elite
I mean,
quarterback, but
and he's a leader.
yeah, he's a leader and he's exceptional for his guy. And then of course, you got Tom Brady, but mediocrity comes from the 6'1"
Your
Division I
quintessential
power
high school,
conference quarterback.
Yeah, the Tannehills of the world to me.
Yeah, that's right. It's the mid-major guys
Yeah.
like Ben who played at Miami of Ohio, not Miami, Florida. Big Ben played at Miami of Ohio. It's those guys coming out of the mid-majors
They've
that do
put
well in
a
the NFL.
lot.
Yeah.
Miami of Ohio has put a lot of people in the NFL, though.
That's a great, but it's
Yeah.
just not. It's
It's
not.
conference,
It's not an
isn't
SEC.
No.
It's not a Big Ten.
No.
So that's what I'm saying. Never gamble on the white Division I big conference quarterback. That's the most racist thing I've said on this show. Thus
Well,
far.
I think what you're trying to say is in some of the smaller schools they maybe have to.
Tom
work a
Brady
little
went in the
harder.
third round.
You know.
Okay.
Yeah, and he only got to play because Bledsoe got hurt.
That's true. Brett Favre, what was his path? He
He went to the Falcons first.
went to the Falcons first
And they got rid of him, and then he went to Green Bay.
And so, bounced around a little bit. Drew Brees was cut. They opted for Phillip Rivers at the Chargers.
Yep.
Shipped him to New Orleans.
Done well.
Tony Romo's probably going to wind up in Denver.
That's true. Yeah.
There's just the straight out of college, and I've got people texting me about this.
Oh, really?
He says, "This is I'm not going to say who this is from, but steroid testing in the NFL is why so many Bama players fail, like Richardson."
No, Trent Richardson, it was his attitude. He was a bad.
He definitely had an attitude.
He had a bad attitude. I mean,
How
So-
do you think that? And I haven't seen anything on it to know, but what's the state of mind now that Kiffin's contract expired yesterday?
Oh, you're jumping the gun, Mitch.
Okay, sorry.
I was setting this. I was
Forgive
setting our
me.
guest up for this question.
just-
Go ahead. I'll
I
step
was
out.
just asking what the state
No,
of mind was
go
going
ahead,
into the
go ahead.
national
No.
title game.
It's your show, Mitch.
I'm-
Go ahead. Pitch the question. Big question. Go
now
ahead.
I'm sweating. What are they thinking? How are they feeling?
good riddance.
Is it-
Oh.
okay. Well, I
Now,
didn't
see,
know.
Mitch, this
Yeah.
is what I would have done differently
Okay,
with that.
tell me.
Not that I'm some great interviewer, but see, I had him. We were talking about Alabama, how great Alabama was, and then I was going to say, so,
So
what do you think Nick Saban really said
Don't let the door hit
to
you.
Lane Kiffin?
That was some of the worst play calling you've ever done.
Well,
It's not about
I don't
you.
even think it's that. I think
it's not
it's
about
this.
you. Instead of going to Tampa, go to Boca
I don't think.
Raton.
yeah.
Yeah, which
mean,
means
it's a
bacon
nice
rat or
area.
something like that. I don't know. Or mouth rat or something like that.
Mouth wrap.
I think he doesn't actually want Lane Kiffin to have another ring on his finger.
Nah, I think it was just a distraction.
No, I think it's spite.
Yeah.
You don't think it's spite? There's no
Nick
spite
Saban,
anywhere in there.
if Nick wins this one, and obviously I hope he does, he'll be out there with Bear Bryant, 6 national
Right.
championships.
Absolutely. Nick Saban
So
has
I
proven.
don't
do you think he
I don't
cares
think-
anything about it, though?
The one flaw on Nick Saban's record was his time in the NFL.
And
if
dealing
you-
with pros
if
and their
you-
agents is totally different.
If you took that out, yeah, but Pete Carroll broke that. You couldn't be a college quarterback and go make it in the NFL. And Pete Carroll took him to a
No, I mean-
Super Bowl. So, but if you forgot, which most people have, about the years Nick Saban was in Miami, he is absolutely shaped up to be one of the best football coaches of all time.
it's about recruiting. I mean, in the college world.
Right.
I mean, I think he was recruiting yesterday.
And some might argue he's dirty or whatnot like this, and I haven't seen any real structured arguments on that, except for the steroid use thing that just came through. So, yeah,
Well,
so
I
you just
think-
think you don't think there's any
I
spite
think he's
on the
I
Lane
think
Kiffin
he's a
train.
coach, kind of like some of the coaches we admire. I mean, if they mess up, they don't play. I mean, he's had to sit some players down that we would have rather them play. Obviously, so he's a disciplinarian.
But I think it's more.
I think it's my way or highway. He is in charge.
Absolutely.
The University of Alabama has given him a lot of latitude. He's proven success, and it's my way. I think he's a my way or highway. There's not any negotiation. There's no conversation that goes like, "What do you think about this?" Or it's
He's a dictator.
it's my way or
yes.
and
highway.
you are a member of his court, and that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
But
no,
I
I
think
get
that
it.
obviously the players respond to that. I mean, nobody's begging to leave.
They want the spotlight.
Yeah. If you're winning, things are good. Now, if they were not a winning team and he was acting like that, I think it would be a drastically different conversation. But
Well, you mentioned recruitment, and recruitment's obviously a big part of it, and a lot of folks get, Mark Richt, obviously, big part of him losing his job at Georgia was recruitment. People felt like he wasn't recruiting enough 5 stars. And Nick Saban obviously does a great job with recruitment, but I think what we saw with Washington, where you mentioned the adjustment, there have been several games this season where for the first quarter, even the second quarter, teams have hung with Alabama only to get blown out after halftime. I think Nick Saban probably is the best adjustment coach in college football.
Yeah,
I think he knows what you're doing better than you know what you're doing.
and he's got a few things up his sleeve. And also, he is going to send 230, 250-pound running backs at you all day long.
You can wear you out.
And wear you down. And then when you got to get to your second string, he's got you. So it's like what you hear him say all the time. It's a 60-minute game. You know, in first 15 minutes, you can score a couple times on him, but he's playing 60 minutes.
And they have the depth on their bench to be able to play 60 minutes regardless of whether.
4 running backs ready to go. And, you know, if Scarborough was to act up or get hurt or something like that, you got Harris and then Jacobs that are almost as good.
Yeah, but there's other teams that have been that deep from running back. You know, I think of Georgia with Nick Chubb, Sony Michel. You know, there's other teams that have several NFL caliber runners on their squad that have not performed quite as well as he has. And when you look at him, I really think it's the adjustment. I think Nick Saban is kind of like Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick seems to know what you're doing before you know it. Now, he had Spygate, which proved that he oftentimes did know what you're doing before you know it.
There's also technique. I mean, he has them tackle a little bit different than you see others. Now the big thing is to hit them and knock them out of bounds or stuff like that. He actually has tackling drills that are, I wouldn't say he's the only one, but I think he teaches them, especially on defense, obviously. This is how I want you to tackle. I mean, so he's got more speed on defense this year. Last year we had bigger guys, but this year with Foster and Simpson and all those guys, they're much faster. They can get to the corners a lot faster. So he just has a lot of players ready to go.
Well,
I mean, we lost Eddie Jackson because he broke his leg, and then next thing you know, we put in another guy who's just as good.
Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go a quick break. When we come back, we're actually going to talk a little bit about the NFL.
Oh, good.
We're going to talk about Kubiak retiring, and then, of course, why the 49ers just liquidated their entire squad.
After a year.
Coaching squad. But the 49ers are falling apart, and I'm going to tell you why, and it's got a lot to do with Colin Kaepernick. So we'll be back in a moment. Thanks for listening to Talk 101.3 The Buzz, WTNB, Man Up America. We'll be back in a moment. The good Dr. Jay Adam here, talking to all the gentlemen out there. For those of you with wives, girlfriends, even mothers, which would make all of you, you need to call 423-472-8887 and talk to the good folks at Bliss Day Spa. Nothing says I love you like the special treatment, the VIP treatment of the services of Bliss Day Spa. Call them today, 423-472-8887. Tell them the good doctor sent you from Man Up America.
So, how's the new job?
Love it. But it's not just a job, it's a career.
Life insurance? Love?
I told you Woodman Life is really active in the community, right? They support all kinds of community improvement projects. How's your job, by the way?
Don't ask.
Begin your financial career today with Woodman Life by calling 423-790-2847.
Woodman of the World Life Insurance Society of Omaha, Nebraska. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations. Woodman Life has been keeping its promises to members for more than 100 years. That means we've survived the Great Depression, Black Friday, and all the other ups and downs our economy has faced. In good times and bad, we're strong and stable. We're an organization your family can count on. At Woodman Life, we've always believed that slow and steady really does win the race. Our conservative investment philosophies are just one part of the strength of our organization. What really makes Woodman Life strong is the trust and loyalty of our members.
Contact your local Woodman representative today by calling 423-790-2847. With 3 offices serving Southeast Tennessee, your Woodman representative is standing by to help you.
Woodman of the World Life Insurance Society of Omaha, Nebraska. Woodman Life, standing strong for generations.
Are you looking to refinance your home, or perhaps you're in the market to actually purchase? Take it from the good Dr. Jay Adam. There's no need to go far and wide to look for mortgage help. Call 339-8086, Home Mortgage Solutions, LLC, right here in Cleveland.
Their team's prepared to help you with lending, with refi options. Just give them a call, 339-8086, and tell them the good Dr. J. Adams sent you.
All right, we are back here at WTNB Studios and on Talk 101.3 The Buzz. Man Up America, I'm the good Dr. J. Adam. We've got County Commissioner Mylan Blake in the studio. Mitch is with us. We spent the first part talking about sports, but now it's time to move into politics.
Another sport, yeah.
Well, we are going to talk about the 49ers, and I intentionally put this segment under the political banner because I personally think, and there's a lot of the talking heads who agree with me. I've kind of been reading in and around, but I personally believe that the decline of the 49ers this year from playoff caliber team to one of the worst in the league has more to do with politics, and I'm not talking about organizational politics. I'm talking about cultural politics than it actually does football.
Sure.
Obviously, the 49ers have fired their head coach, Chip Kelly, after one season, and their general manager. Who has not been fired are a lot of the players, including Colin Kaepernick, who are responsible for a lot of the distraction. Now, I said this on the socials, being fair to the socials, right? And I really stand by this. Regardless of how you feel about Colin Kaepernick and his stance against the national anthem and his progression from pro athlete to good old activist, regardless of how you feel about that and whether he's justified or not, professional football is a full-time job that needs no distractions. If you are going to be a winning championship team, you have got to have a team that's focused every day on playing football, questions from the media being about football, them thinking about their games. You don't need players going home to girlfriends or wives who work for national change entities just to get them riled up and distracted from the game.
I agree 100%.
And so the decline of the 49ers has more to do, in my opinion, with the players than it does the coach. Now, we don't know yet if the coach is being let go because of his inability to wrangle that on the side of the players, or if the administration there at the 49ers is just ignoring whether or not that's a factor.
I think they're ignoring. I mean, Colin Kaepernick brought a lot of publicity to that team because of his antics on the sidelines. And you're not winning games, so if your name's still in the press, then, well, let's let him do what he needs to do, and we'll just, we'll blame it on our coach, and we'll fire him again. We'll fire another coach and let these overpaid kids do what they want to do on the sideline. Not their job.
Mitch, you're brutal.
We'll pay them.
You're brutal.
I think you're absolutely right with the distraction part there, because you got 29 other teams that are spending millions and millions of dollars to try to win a Super Bowl. Anything that's not a conversation about how you get to that point is a distraction. It's somewhat self-serving or even selfish maybe, but that's the level of play that they're at. Right. I mean,
it was not about winning. The media coverage for the 49ers this season had nothing to do with football.
I heard more about the fact that he didn't vote in November.
Right.
I mean, he didn't vote. And there was a half day of all the commentaries talking about, you did all this, you got the spotlight, and you didn't even go vote. I mean, that's the distraction from the 60 minutes that you have to play.
Locker room and
say, not on my watch.
I own you. When you're on my field,
you work for me.
You work for me. You do the job I pay you to do, and they're doing it.
Yeah, newsflash to the rest of the world. Your freedom of speech is somewhat hampered while you're at work.
Absolutely.
You have a constitutional freedom of speech, but especially if you live in a state that's a right-to-work state, and, without cause, an employer can let you go. You cannot. There are employers who say no political shirts in here, but it's your constitutional right to have freedom of speech, but not at work. Not at work. When you agree contractually to do a job for an amount of money, you have contractually given away a lot of your personal freedoms.
Which
You've
should
done that.
be
That's
fine.
what your job is. It's a contract. Colin Kaepernick had a contract, and if the team was wise, they would exercise the provisions of that contract, and they would be having a meeting with him saying, you are using our compensation to not play football,
Right.
to be a political activist. And that's my problem with it. I don't have a problem with what he says and what he does necessarily. I think you have a freedom to speech. I have a problem where he says and does it. Because when you work for an employer, you're sending mixed messages to a new generation of young men, young athletes, young men who are going to wind up in the workplace, that they can carry their political ideals and their berating into the workplace.
Just blatantly disrespect who is paying you.
Yeah, who is paying you? So that's why I said this is a political topic, not a sports topic.
Not that York needs much respect,
Well,
but
you mentioned something else that makes it more political, and that is the influence on the younger kids. You had kids in high school, bands, not wanting to do the salute to the. They're there to play the song out in the field, and they wanted to protest and all that kind of stuff. So it was a trickle-down effect. That was a negative one.
Yeah, and everybody wants to pick it apart and say, well, what about high school? They aren't played. It's not a workplace. They can say whatever they want to say. Well, no, you're a minor.
But they're learning.
You don't have certain freedoms when you're a minor,
Yeah.
What about college? They're not compensated. If they're on scholarship, they are.
yes.
And if you agree to play for a team and under their premise, you agree to abide by the school rules. Once again, we forget the fact that we enter into these many contracts in our life in which we reciprocate. I agree to do a job, you agree to pay me, and if I'm going to just tell you, if you work for my companies and you show up to work, not to work, but to do something else that has nothing to do with servicing our clients who pay us accordingly, you will not remain on our payroll. It's that simple.
It really is simple.
And I think that's the case throughout most of the world. So
Right.
I think regardless of how you feel about Colin Kaepernick's social displays, I think he's done a generation of young working men a disjustice or disservice moving forward.
Absolutely.
So, Mylan, you're on the county commission. And on the county commission, y'all make decisions about local governance. So you understand kind of the procedures in and about. I am actually going to do something I've rarely done on this program, and I'm going to praise President-elect Donald Trump. I'm not going to praise how he did it, but I am going to praise him for his stance, because we got a news report a few days ago that said the GOP, the Republicans, which I'm a bit ashamed that they would even do this, in the House had made an effort to take over the nonpartisan, non-political ethics office that investigates ethics claims of Congress. They wanted to pull it under the Ethics Committee and provide oversight of the oversight agency, which for anybody with rationale who understands what it means to have a watchdog knows how stupid that idea really is. Donald Trump quickly took to Twitter, which I do not agree with, and pretty much said, this is ridiculous that you would want to do this. And the result has been them backing up on that measure. So kudos, Donald Trump. How about just calling the leaders to your office or to Trump Tower rather than using Twitter, though?
He's probably I can't disagree with you, but he's probably results oriented. He got what he wanted.
He is.
He absolutely got what he wanted, and I'm glad he did. I do not think we need to become the party of taking over and taking away accountability. And I think if the Republicans become the party of removing accountability, they're going to self-destruct if they haven't already.
Yeah, I was ready to say.
But it's definitely what it's going to, it is what it is.
And I just wonder how much of his. I'm not on Twitter. I think I'm too old for that.
Oh, no.
But
So you're not twitting?
I don't tweet. I don't. But I wonder how much of that is to play on. Do young people still are they Snapchatting or do they Twitter? What is the young generation.
Snapchat is pretty popular.
My 15-year-old is on Twitter, but
Okay.
he's watching all the baseball stuff.
So
I
just
have a
wonder
Twitter. I
And
don't
a lot of
tweet.
the athletes do.
if this is to appeal to some of the younger crowds, to make them they can actively see it, so it's not from a biased media source, and they can see it in real time. And I don't know.
My thing is if you use Twitter, then you cannot block anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that defeats it right there. If you're going to be a public official and you use it for public, like if I was to say something, I try not to put anything that we do on the county commission on Facebook or anything like that. But as we found out from one of our elected officials, when you use a medium like that and you use it in your capacity as an elected official, then you've got to let everybody speak.
Right.
You got to let everybody participate. You can't say, "Oh, I'm only going to let this person here talk, and I'm going to delete this person. I'm going to block this person." That's the one drawback, I think.
Mm-hmm. I use the Facebook, but I don't. I use it for a number of reasons that have nothing to do with political voice. But I'll speak my mind on there. But
Yeah.
I do have a Twitter account. I don't use Twitter too much. It's too hard to follow. Too much. It's too fast. I don't spend.
Maybe
You
that
have to
will
spend
be-
time on Twitter
That will be my New Year's resolution, to learn to navigate Twitter.
to learn how to be a Twitter.
How to,
Yeah, there's certain things on it, but Facebook to me, I use it mainly is so family members that are far
Mhm.
away can see some of the things going on here with my two boys.
But I do think everyone, for the most part, everyone's in agreement. Donald, back off on the Twitter.
Yes.
I liked your objective to pull that back, but call your leaders to the office. Don't hang them out to dry.
Don't underestimate the importance of having a face-to-face
Face-to-face.
conversation. Yeah,
That's right. And I think there's some respect built there.
I mean,
Some other loose news. We've had a lot. We've covered a lot today because we've been off for about a week. But Arnold Schwarzenegger, he has his apprentice catchphrase revealed, which is going to be, rather than "you are fired," that
Say it
Donald Trump
right.
got famous for,
Say it right.
that "you are terminated."
terminated.
You are terminated. It's going to be his apprentice catchphrase. I'll never hear him say it because I don't watch The Apprentice.
I watched last night.
Did you?
Oh,
Oh,
it's
so
already
it's already
Not,
on. Okay.
not,
know
not
that.
by choice. Not by choice. It
Someone
was-
bound and gagged you and made you
Yes.
watch it.
The remote was
Yes.
broke.
It's.
Is your husband an apprentice guy?
It was on. We got home late last night, and so it was like.
And you're like,
just
oh, the remote's over there. I'm
crash
not
on the
getting up. I'm not
couch
getting up.
And
Okay.
try to decompress. I mean, there are a few people on there I like. I love Layla Ali. I think she's amazing. Everybody else, it's like a Real Housewife or from Jersey Shore.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
kind of
really?
digging deep.
They're
Like Dancing with the Stars. It's like
C and D class stars.
it's like this
Yeah.
local weatherman is on the station.
I felt like
for
the
Dancing with the Stars.
the male cast.
Like you're really digging
Yeah.
deep for celebrity, aren't you?
Man, that's bad.
The second cousin removed of Scott Baio this season on Dancing with the Stars.
What's his name? Carson Kressley is on there, and it's just not. There wasn't too much celebrity status about it. I don't know. I don't know that any of them are very smart.
The celebutants.
So it's just,
I don't know.
Well, their
I
agents
don't
are
know
working
half
hard to
of
get
them.
that.
Yeah.
When I see the list come out, I'll usually read the news article where they release who's going to be on Dancing with the Stars and The Apprentice, just to say, all right, now who's really just not got anything else going on in their career? Which burnt athlete, is now going to try to dance on stage? Oh, great. Calvin Johnson's now a dancer.
Oh, yeah.
But, I look at the list, and half of the names I don't even know who they are.
Exactly.
I have no clue. But speaking of celebrity, someone's celebrity who's at an all-time high and has negotiated that into something really monumental. And I know a lot of folks who listen to this program absolutely love Megyn Kelly on Fox News. She has become one of Fox News's most notable personalities over the years. You've got Bill O'Reilly, you've got Sean Hannity, but Megyn Kelly's right up there, and she's bailing. She's leaving. She's going to NBC, which is obviously a move away from the 24-hour cable network kind of thing into more the traditional, I don't know, there's a regal sense about ABC News, NBC News, and CBS News, CBS Nightly News. It's kind of old school. It's been around a long time.
Yeah.
been around a long time. So I can't help but think that this is probably as much of a money decision as it is probably when she was a little girl.
Right.
She thought, wow, to be on NBC Nightly News.
This is her Veronica
Didn't Katie Couric
Corningstone
try that?
moment.
Yeah, I don't know. This kind of move hasn't worked for everybody. Some people are always going to be 24-hour news talking heads. And I think back to this, and this is really an extreme instance, but Glenn Beck was on CNN Headline News, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
To where they started saying, you can't say crazy stuff. So he goes to Fox News, who says, well, you can say crazy stuff over here. To eventually they say, well, you can't say that crazy stuff.
Be that crazy.
And he has to start his own network.
Right.
I don't think that everybody's a perfect fit. For Megyn Kelly, I wonder how much, you look at Katie Couric, you look at the figureheads of those news entities, and they almost seem robotic and programmed, and she's not.
Well,
and how does that
I think,
fit?
though, that if you look at Megyn Kelly over the past definitely year and in the past, she has definitely, I feel like she's dialed herself back. I mean,
agree.
if you look at other big Fox News personalities and you look at where Megyn Kelly was and where she is now, she's gone soft. So I think she's a perfect fit to go into mainstream
She's
news.
gone soft. And how much does the Trump thing play into this?
Right.
You've got an incoming president with the most conservative news network. How much of this was how can we keep her and use her and not constantly build a wall on Twitter between us and the POTUS?
There's that. I mean,
It's got to have something to do with it, I would think. And so, there's
the end of the day,
Megyn
I
Kelly.
think it's about the money. It usually is about the money.
It's got to be money. I haven't read the details of the money.
Have you
Maybe
read
I'll
her
comment
book,
on that.
her new book?
I have not.
No, me
I have not. I reserved my reading for more classical pieces lately.
Yeah.
But so Megyn Kelly's going there, and then of course the biggest news I think out of this past weekend actually comes from Chicago's out-of-control violence produces 762 homicides in 2016, which, from what I understand, is almost double. Don't quote me
Up
on that.
50%,
It's
right.
up 50%. Up 50%.
More,
so,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
than any other year. Even our Twitter in chief said Chicago's murder rate is record-setting. 4,300 shooting victims, 762 murders in 2016. If the mayor can't do it, he must ask for federal help. Now, this is that classic gun-free zone. All of our Obama administration politicians have been in D.C. right now, are from the Obama ranks out of Chicago. Can Chicago continue to? I don't know. To what degree do we finally say what Chicago's doing is not working?
Well, the problem is Chicago's not doing anything. That's the problem.
And that's exactly what the police chief came on and said. We've asked for measures necessary to win this war, and we're not.
Right.
He did say openly a lot of it is gang violence, and you have to deal with gang violence pretty tough. But I just think that if I'm living in Chicago, I don't like being disarmed by the government.
Right. I think more so than anything, it's the fact that you're dealing with crazy anti-police rhetoric up there. They are so incredibly hostile to police officers. They're scared to do their job. They're so scared to do their job. And you've got a whole slew of community that are saying, help us. And they're saying, we can't because y'all get your camera phones out and shoot police brutality every time we try to protect you.
Well, we're going to bring back to this.
The ACLU.
We got to go. We're out of time today. We're going to come back to this later this week. Mylan Blake, thank you for being on here. Roll
Thanks for having
Tide.
me. Roll Tide.
Tomorrow, I did the genealogy thing. My DNS results are back.
Your DNS?
My DNA results, sorry. We're going to come back, and thanks for being on Man Up America, and we're out.
The good Dr. J. Adam here talking to all